Give me 1 second.
Okay, I think we're good now.
All right, you want to start over?
Yep.
All right, just in case you didn't hear before. All right. This is live internet TV. Hey, listen, this is the Community Solidarity Response Network of Toledo, and we are here to observe the 2-year anniversary of the uprising of 5/30/2020. We called it the Toledo Police Accountability Rally, where we gathered right here, right behind us at the corners of Erie and Jackson. And what we're going to do, we did before, but hey, we didn't have any sound. We're going to go through our introductions, who we are, why we're still here. Then we'll get into our mission statement and our guiding principles. You want to go first?
Yes. So my name is Ruth Leonard. I am the administrative lead for CSRN. I am a brown-skinned Black woman, and I'm wearing a white denim romper with my hair braided into a bun, and I'm wearing gold sunglasses. And my pronouns are she, her, and hers.
All right, I'm Brother Washington Muhammad. He, him. Today I have on my You Ain't Black shirt. Joe Biden really did say that. And I wore this 2 years ago, proudly wear it now. I have on a yellow and black defund the police button, brown glasses, black hat. And as always, I'm dedicated to respecting, protecting, and defending all Black bodies, no matter the cost, no matter the gains or loss. That's who I am. Julian, you want to go?
My name is Julian Mack. I'm the spokesman with the Community Solidarity Response Network. Preferred gender pronouns he, him, and bruh. My shirt is repping the 419 as born and raised and currently residing in Toledo. And I have on a Malcolm X hat with two chains on today. One representing the solidarity that comes with the fist, and the other the gratitude to always remind me to be grateful for what is in life.
That's beautiful.
What's up, everybody? Jody J. Summers, Charles Persistent, better known as Spoken Truth. I'm the treasurer of this wonderful organization, and very happy to still be here, still alive. And for those of you listening and that don't know why we describe our stuff, because you could be listening and not watching. So I am a big brown-skinned bear of a man that is covered in tattoos and crystals and bones and stones, and respect to my ancestors that sacrificed, died, bled, cried, and all of that so I could be here. The clothing that I'm wearing is a green shirt because I always have some symbolism of red, green, and black on me for the male wellness walk that we have here every year. The hat that I'm wearing is mine because I believe in owning my own businesses and making sure my dollars stay in my community. Of course, the staff, and then the other stuff you can't see. So, yeah, that's me.
All right. And so, Julian, can you get us started with the guiding principles for CSRN?
Yeah. Thriving instead of surviving. Our vision is based on the world we want, not the one we're currently in. We seek to transform, not simply react. We want our people to thrive, not just exist, and think beyond the possible. Ashe?
Ashe.
Experimentation and innovation must be built into our work. Embrace the best tools, practices, tactics, and leave those behind that no longer serve us. Ashe.
Ashe.
Evaluation and assessment must be built into our culture. Critical reflection must be part of all of our work. We learn from our mistakes and our victories. Ashe.
Ashe.
Principled struggle can exist in a positive environment. We must be honest with one another by embracing direct and loving communication. Ashe.
Ashe.
Love and self-love is the practice in every element of all we do. Love and self-love must be the driver of our work and the indicator of our success. Without this principle and without healing, we will harm each other and undermine our movement. Ashe.
Ashe.
360-degree vision. We honor the past struggles and wisdom from our elders, Brother Washington. The work we do today builds the foundation of the movements of tomorrow. We consider our mark on future generations. Ashe.
Ashe.
Self-care means we build resilient spaces by budgeting time, energy, and resources for healing. Self-care is a regular, consistent, intentional, and essential practice. Ashe.
Ashe.
The most directly affected people are experts at their own lives and should be in leadership at the center of our movement and telling our stories directly. Ashe.
Ashe.
Training and leadership development should be fundamental. Our movement must constantly grow and leadership must constantly multiply. Ashe.
Ashe.
And all all Black lives matter. Queer Black lives, trans Black lives, formerly and presently incarcerated Black lives, poor working class Black lives, differently abled Black lives, Black men, women, and children's lives, immigrant Black lives, Black elderly lives, all Black lives matter. We are the creators of this space. We throw no one under the bus. We rise together. Ashe.
Ashe.
All right. Ruth, back to you.
Alrighty, well, that very loud, beautiful speech was done once again by our spokesperson, Julian Mack.
I speak to the wind.
Okay.
A big shout out to Sabrina for letting us know about the volume.
Yes.
Yeah,
and
right.
we will never have that problem again.
Okay.
Also because we weren't able to hear it before, Brother Washington, once again, as the oldest person that I know, do we have permission to start the meeting?
You have my permission.
Alrighty, excellent. Alrighty, this is our mission statement. I'm gonna say it as loud as Julian did. We are the Community Solidarity Response Network of Toledo, formed on November 25th, 2014, the day after it was announced that the killer, a Ferguson, Missouri police officer of Michael Brown, an unarmed teenager, would not be indicted. We bring awareness to the injustices experienced by Black men, women, and children who are disproportionately murdered, attacked, provoked, and harassed by law enforcement. Police brutality has to end. We bring awareness to the fact that most often police brutality goes without consequence and accountability. Police impunity has to end. We utilize the tactics of protest, civil disobedience, event disruption, and citizen advocacy to give voice to those who are otherwise voiceless. We facilitate progressive community-based events that help to foster self-development and discuss measures to hold local leadership accountable to their sworn duties, be they politicians, clergy, law enforcement, educators, etc. We want justice, equal justice under the law. We want justice applied equally to all, regardless of creed or class or color. For all lives to matter, Black lives must matter. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And with that, Brother Washington, can you get us started with why we are here today, since it is not one of our traditional Tuesday evening meetings?
Right. Last week, Julian had posted in our group text, we should do something for May 30th. And we thought about a rally, but somehow that vibe, really wasn't there. But I've heard a lot of people comment on May 30th, 2020. And I always thought, why not the people that got it on and popping? So I wanted to process with everybody, what was your thinking, weeks and days coming up to how we planned this? And it really got planned based on a conversation I was watching online with Julian and someone else, because a lot of the cities were having uprisings, and it was like, okay, so what are we going to do? And I think I posted back to Julian, hey, let's do it. Mm-hmm. And here we are. And as we started planning, other people started planning some stuff too. I don't know why they tried to plan on the same day in the same space, but it is what it is. But so for anybody, what was your thinking, coming up to gathering at the police station of all places? What were some of your thoughts?
So I'll start. So it was really organic how everything happened, because the week before the event actually took place was, I believe, the day that everything had happened with George Floyd. And I had only heard about it because Julian and I at that time were doing a podcast. And in doing that podcast, he brought it up, but I hadn't had enough information about it to speak on it. And after doing some research over like the next couple of days, I realized, number one, I still have not to this day watched the video of George Floyd being murdered as a form of self-care. I just knew what it was. I had seen multiple other reactions, and there had been enough going on in the world that I trusted and believed what Brother Washington, what Julian, what Jody felt like was a need to have a protest, and I completely put all of my energy behind that. In the days leading up to it, there was a lot of chaos. There was a lot of moving parts. There was a lot of everyone wanting to be a part of planning this event, everyone wanting to have their own event, everyone wanting to do something to show the need for a change in
Right.
what was happening in police accountability. And so putting all of our efforts, putting our minds together, we came together in a span of, I want to say, 5 days from the day that we came together to talk about it to the day of the actual event.
That's right.
And we were able to facilitate not only all of the moving parts to host a protest, to host an impromptu protest at the police station without any effort from the city of Toledo to say, oh, you have the go ahead. This was literally us saying we need to take it to the streets and bringing it to the streets and bringing what we had organically as individuals. So I brought my love just for Black men to the conversation. Brother Washington brought his ability to gather people in a way that made sure that we all remembered the main purpose of why we were showing up. Julian brought his energy and making sure that the people didn't forget why we were there once we got there. Jody brought his words and his poetry and his community of people, so that at the end of the day, we were able to block off the intersection because of what we all brought to the conversation. And we were able to have a moment that went down in history where we knew that it needed to happen. It was supposed to happen. It was supposed to go down the way it went down. And I think that we knew that there was a potential for police violence if the police did get involved in any way, shape, fashion, or form. And the police did get involved. And there was violence because we knew that where there are 2 or more Black people gathered to speak about making sure that there is safety and accountability, there is a knee-jerk reaction to engage violently. Right. And so basically the police did what we thought they were going to do. And the people did what they were supposed to do. They showed up peacefully in flip-flops and shorts, and they marched and they rallied and they came together to speak in memory of George Floyd's name, but also to speak so that there could be a change in accountability. And that's what that day meant to me.
What about you, Julian? What about you, Jody? What were some of your thoughts leading up to this, and what was going through your mind?
Well, I remember wanting to be there, right? Like I remember specifically earlier that week planning, moving some money around for gas money to try to make it up to Minneapolis, a place that I had honestly never been. But one of our guiding principles states, as you just heard, right, those who are mostly directly affected are experts at their own struggle and should be in leadership, telling their stories directly. And so having been involved in this movement work for really the better part of a decade at that point, I knew to seek, not just to listen to people who were there, but to seek out the expert opinion of those organizers who were in Minneapolis, who had been doing the work, before the death of George Floyd, and who would be doing the work long after. Right? And I specifically remember a tweet, I can't remember who it was by, but it said, we have 20,000 extra people in Minneapolis protesting. We don't need any more. What we need is for you to organize in your own respective communities.
That's right.
And so it was at that moment that I reached out to Brother Washington, was like, yo, we have to do something. We have to do something, and we have to do something soon, like this weekend. And as Ruth said, the ball really started to roll from there. I do specifically remember, I actually went through some of the videos and watched them earlier today. I specifically remember the Friday. I remember that Tuesday or that Wednesday when me and Ruth were doing the podcast, and the 3rd District police station in Minneapolis burnt down, and we saw that happen live in the midst of us doing the podcast, right?
Right.
And I think this was when we were still in talks of setting specifics. We knew we were going to do something, but the exact date, time, and all of that was still being worked out.
Right.
And I just remember reacting to that in real time. And I remember as the week progressed, I remember like that Wednesday or Thursday, it was in stone, 3:00 downtown outside the police station. We're going to be there. And I remember, the being part of the like global momentum that was happening and organization that was happening. And I remember like all of a sudden, we get a call I got a call from the mayor specifically, who had yet to call me individually in his whole entire administration, asking me to be a part of a meeting of Black people that would meet the day before the protest in one government center in city council chambers. And he said he just wanted to listen. Looking back on that, I mean, I think that was he did. He came to the meeting and he did listen, right? But I think having organized through several mayoral administrations at this point, some of the sophisticated tricks that are used just did not work on us at that particular day and that particular time, right? So what the protest was happening at that spot regardless, right? And then all of a sudden there was this guise of it being a collaborative process between like the people who were organizing and all of a sudden these higher ups and bourgeoisie Black people that had not been in organizing spaces before. And I think subsequently, right, in the months after that, right, these the Black elite and bourgeoisie of Toledo played a significant part in I'll say it, man, diluting some of the messages and some of the demands from that day, right? Something that an effort was put in to do immediately, right, but did not happen on May 30th, right? The message was potent, and clear and straight from the soul, the soul of our ancestors, straight and truth to power was being spoken. So, I remember going to a protest earlier that day out Secor, right? And I remember pulling up and the energy just being amazing. And I remember parking parking Ruth's car right in the middle of the street, getting out and holding a sign and blocking off traffic, right? Something that I hadn't done yet. And it was incredible. And I proceeded to move the car. But very early in the day, like in hindsight, I know because we've listened to the police audio, right? Like I was on their radar and they were watching me closely and for my behaviors and the surveillance was very much real. So prior to the event, right, like there was all of this energy. We really didn't know what to expect. I remember getting here at about 2:30, right, because I stayed about a half hour longer than anybody wanted down at Secor. And I remember being on a new diet, right, which doesn't sound significant, but on that day, right, like on a day that took all of the energy out of me, right, like I had given the amount of energy by 1 p.m. or 2 p.m. that I normally give all day. Right. You know what I mean? And I remember people setting up on all four corners of this intersection that is behind me. And I remember honestly thinking to myself, after doing like a quick chant with Ruth, like, I'm not sure if I have the energy to do this, right? Like talking to myself, like, I'm tired already. Like, and then, I remember like we started and then boom, people from all four corners of the intersection came in and blocked off traffic. And it was like on, and it was like, yo, this is not a drill. This is the real deal. And this is just a historic moment, and Julian, you have to meet this moment, and that's what I tried to do.
All right, beautiful. Jody, what about you? Some of the thoughts that were going through your head? I don't know if you worked that day, and I met you down here. We'll wait till the. All right. What were your thoughts leading up to 5/30/2020, and how did you process that? Okay.
By the way, we are live, so also because I'm noticing the position of the camera, and I'm like a giant wall. That's the police station behind us.
That's right.
So people that don't show up to places and like typing things and looking good for the camera is not me. Yes, I did work that day. I remember the planning process. I actually have documented all of that, and 1 year later, so today I'll be going back into a new file and doing 2 years later for the 6 months that happened after that and everything like that. I document a lot of stuff. I don't know. For me, it was more of like, not necessarily this is what we trained for, but this is why we do this. It's great to be in solidarity with other cities and states and stuff like that. But when you're at home, you have to be at home.
Right.
So it was more of I guess the kind of work that we've done for years, where we just said, hey, we're going to be here. We're going to do it. Who we calling? Us. And that's the thing that I guess a lot of organizations aren't used to or weren't used to. So I remember walking, because I believe I had, Pacos. So I remember getting off of work and then walking the way here, which is a straight shot up from where my job is located, and then seeing Brother Washington, as usual, out there. Me and Brother Washington setting up everything, setting up the signs. I remember there were a few people out, a lot of provocateurs and onlookers and people that's just like, I'm just going to stay over here. And then I took a few photos, and we had actually were, and I know you can't see it, maybe we'll get some shots later, but now it's actually barred and chained around. It wasn't like that before, but we had yard signs out there. And when I came up, we were placing the final few yard signs and stuff, and then they came out like, y'all can't do this. And me and Brother Washington looked, gave ourselves the look, but then we also realized, as I guess organizers, we can't take our personal emotions and stuff, because then we won't have an event. So we kindly moved the signs slightly to a different area, so that, because again, we pay their bills,
that's right,
all the stuff, because we are the citizens that they are supposed to protect. But then, as the day progressed and all the speakers were going and we saw the crowd coming and stuff, I noticed a direct shift from, because our plan, which was initially, and again, we were going to come, we were going to give a speech, talk to people. There was no march. There was no escalation. But I am somewhat thankful in retrospect that certain entities did come to escalate, because that's not our lane. But because of that, it showed the true colors of the blue, of what they are wanting to protect. The images, the wooden pellets, and the mace and everything that was done to unarmed citizens. And I believe I have a piece that I wrote about this, who came in sandals and flip-flops with signs and paper and chants, were met with rubber bullets and wooden bullets and riot gear and tanks. That's not how you treat your own citizens up until, and it's kind of crazy to say, up until George Floyd. Before the civil rights movement, we could actually say, hey, we've been kind of, kumbaya marching, doing all this stuff, but we haven't been attacked by our own force again since the civil rights movement. And that week, for all of the country, changed that, because it showed the rest of the world that, oh, we aren't just crazy people on the street. This is happening everywhere. They were macing. I still follow a lot of people that were in Philadelphia with their umbrellas as they were getting maced and water hosed every single day, but yet they didn't give up. I still connect and talk to some of those people. For me, it was, again, a wake-up call for the world that this is what we do on a normal. This isn't for a trend or to get some type of appropriation because I want to feel good about myself today. This is my life. 10 years from now, I will still be wearing buttons. I will still be talking about Black Lives Matter because this is my life, not some organization or grant or fund or thing to go buy a mansion and look pretty. Did I save some people in the hood that don't even live there? But yeah, that was my thoughts from that initial day, and it being in shock that people supported us differently than it was just, oh yeah, y'all marching for somebody that's not here. It's like they were seeing what we were talking about.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
A few have stayed around the past couple of years, but they actually got to witness firsthand
That's right.
that you can't trust them at their word.
Right. And you know, some of the way I saw it was it reminded me of when we disrupted the Martin Luther King celebration.
Yeah.
The anxiety coming up to that and the phone calls you receive from people that say, this is not a good idea. I think that you should pray. I think that you should wait. That's a defining moment.
Which is 5 years later and a whole different administration.
Right.
Yeah. The same people. Yeah.
The same type of defining moment happened for Black Lives Matter Day. The anxiety before the date, the same phone calls. Hey guys, I really think you should do something different. I really think you should pray on it. I think you should wait. But you have to do it. You know, the rank and file older people are not with this. All right. So they've had their time, and I know them because I am them. We've had our time. All right. The generation today, they're not slowing down. They're not waiting to see. And the same type of vibe days before May 30th, 2020, the phone calls. Hey, Julian, I really think we need to chit chat. We need to have a conversation. No, respectfully decline. You know where the momentum of now is, all right? And we know what we're doing is good. And I'm proud of everybody that showed up, because everybody that showed up on that day, all of us knew the potential for violence, all right? I was aware of that. But at one point, you got to make a decision. What do you want to do to see your people free? What do you want to do to see your people have hope in the future? And if that comes on our shoulders to set up sound, to set up signs, and gather people to hear something that they're not going to hear at their church, that they may not hear at their mosque, they may not hear at their places of worship, now is the time. And I really believe that we were the people that were to sound the alarm. As I'm looking at the battery, we've got like 40% left. I want to ask, what will be some of your takeaways from...
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Okay. So May 30th, I felt like I was responsible for every single person that came out in Toledo. There were a few different events that happened that I literally said, I need to make sure that I am protecting and keeping everyone safe. The first one was after the event was over, y'all took off. Y'all said, we marching. And I said, cool, y'all march. And the city of Toledo, everyone who was down here decided to march. They went through the neighborhoods. And then I got word that there had been something that happened. There had been some sort of vandalism or something. And I remember going directly to Chief Crawl. And Chief Crawl looked me in my face and said, not today, Ruth. And I said, hey, hands up. Just got to ask a question. What happened? Why am I hearing that people were maced? Why am I hearing that there were rubber bullets? And the way that Chief Crawl explained it was that there had been some sort of disruption and something had happened, and the police officers felt like they needed to protect themselves. So off the bat, I knew that just seemed outlandish. It was a police car that had been spray painted, and then someone who was like with CSRN recognized that that wasn't the energy that we were going for, so they took care of it. But either way, the police still overreacted.
That's right.
The next thing I know, yes, we policed ourselves. They had come back and they were all chanting in front of the police station. And I was worried because all of a sudden I started to see police officers come outside in SWAT gear. And so I made it a point to put myself in between the police and the protesters. And so I stood on the inside of the police barricade so that I could keep whatever was happening in front of and behind me, I could keep them separated so that there was no confusion. Then Toledo, y'all took off again. And y'all started marching and protesting again. Y'all started marching again. And when I tell you I had to run from where we are standing now all the way out to Cherry Street to try to get to the front of that line, it is a hoof. And to march all the way down there and then to see the picture that you see on CSRN's website at the top, that is the picture of men and women on their knees standing in front of the police officers who said that they could not continue to walk. And so they were on their knees with their hands up, chanting, "Hands up, don't shoot." And I saw that and I thought, this is perfect. This is beautiful. This is peaceful. And I saw a police officer launch a tear gas can. And when they launched the tear gas can, I saw it roll underneath a van. And when it rolled underneath the van, the smoke billowed out. And then all of a sudden, there were pepper bullets and there were rubber bullets. And the people of Toledo decided that they wanted to continue to march. And so they marched down Cherry Street and they turned down, I believe that's Adams Street. And when they turned down Adams Street, again, it was that same energy of vandalism. And once again, we policed ourselves. And we said, we're not doing this to vandalize right now. Like, that's not the energy that we have right now to cause chaos and disruption. Right. We want our voices to be heard. And we kept marching. And within 5 to 7 minutes, all of a sudden, I see a young man get choked up by the police and dragged to the ground. And that's where one of the paintings that CSRN has of the young man with the big hair being choked. I see a SWAT tank coming down the road. I see someone popping out the hood of the SWAT tank, and I didn't realize it at the time, but I saw Sarai get shot with a wooden bullet at the corner of Adams Street by someone in a SWAT tank. Because we as a people who were able to police ourselves, who were marching peacefully, who were making our way down our streets, chanting, were suddenly accosted by the same police officers who we wanted accountability from. And to see that and to see the consistent way that we were able to police ourselves, but we're constantly sold short. We're constantly backed into a corner by the police officers who then kept upping the ante and upping the ante and upping the ante. Eventually, if you back a people into a corner, they are going to strike back. Had there been no police interaction and we were allowed to make our voices heard, to march and protest and chant and let our anger and hurt and vitriol and just feelings be felt in a way that wasn't disruptive, then we would not be sitting here 2 years later still seeking accountability from the officers who shot Sarai, from the officers who completely ignored Damien when he passed out, when he was tear gassed, and police officers did not move a muscle until they realized that cameras were on them.
That's right.
We are talking about still 2 years later, accountability from a police department that continuously discounts what we are able to do as a people. We have still so far to go. We still have so much more that we want from the city, from the police department, from the mayor's office. It's great that we have all of these programs coming out, but there's still, in many cases, double, triple, quadruple the amount that was given to these programs being given to the police department.
Right.
We still need to fund programs in the city with the same excitement and with the same budget that we fund our police departments, because police are reactionary. Police show up after the fact. We need things that are preventative in our communities that have the same budget. And when we talk about accountability, budget is a very big part of it, but
That's
it's
right.
just the first step.
That's right. That's beautiful, and that's why I have my defund the police button. It's more than just 3 words. It's a mindset. It's what we demand and what we know is right. Got 30% left.
I just want to point out something
yeah.
beautiful that just happened just now, man. Since we've started this broadcast, over there we got about 7 of the people that. All right. There was about 7 of the people that were out there that day. That are out there that are behind us right now. You know what I mean? 2 years later, the community's still here.
Yeah.
Right. 2 years later, the community is still unwavering, and
Organically.
Yeah, organically, right? And I just have to give, a little bit of a testament to the strength of some of these individuals, right? Some of the most tragic, unfair, unjust things that have happened to some of these people in their whole lives happened that day. That's why we're on here commemorating, seeking accountability, and still seeking justice 2 years later. For people like Sarai, right? As as I'm looking right now, the bravery of her who was shot in her leg, broke her leg. These aren't just antiquated stories, right? These are actual people. Right. These are actual people's actual bones that were broken, right? And these are people who have done everything that they can to get back on their feet, literally and metaphorically, and are still standing up in the face of immense oppression, immense pressure, and saying we're not going to take this anymore.
That's right.
Right? No. And not only are we not going to take it anymore, we are going to hold you accountable for the injustice that was done, right? And so that's happening even right now, and naturally, even a little PTSD for me comes into play, right? As I see the police on the corner hanging out there a little longer than they were 20 minutes ago, kind of even wanting to be protective now, as this is happening live in front of us, So, the way I look at it, and I'm not trying to pivot too far, but I know we're getting short on time. There are 2 things that are happening. So we can walk and chew gum at the same time. We're still seeking justice above ground and underground, right? With things that you can see and things that you cannot see. For the injustices that have already happened in our system, that happened that day, and that have happened since. Mm-hmm. But on the same hand, there's self-determination that's happening as well, right? When we realize that our systems, our institution, our country has failed us, that there's a certain self-determination that we must have and take into our own hands and building the world that we want to see, right? And so to a certain extent, that is happening, and we're going full-fledged towards that. And 20 days from now, when we go to celebrate Juneteenth, right? When we go to celebrate Juneteenth, which is, and this is beautiful, it's the horns are, we were worried about the sound. Now the horns are playing are beeping for the people that are still standing against injustice. But Juneteenth, we have symbols. We have a version of freedom. We have some type of version of freedom. The question then becomes, what are we doing with that freedom, right? And if not to build up our health and to reconnect our families, I question, what is that for? All right, so in collaboration with Brothers United, in collaboration with the Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated, the oldest Black fraternity in the Northwest Ohio. Lucas County Library, and a lot of other
Lucas
partners.
County Mental Health
Yeah.
Resources Board, the Educated Activists. We have some representatives from Vince Davis from State Farm, Mott Branch Library, MLK School. I'm trying to think. ProMedica, First Tee Golf. Say it again.
Bro Mafia.
Who? Bro Mafia. Bro Mafia. Pro.
Never.
Lord.
It's okay.
We're bringing Juneteenth out for. So this is the second national celebration. I believe this is the 5th celebration for CSRN.
Yep,
and also before we get to that, everybody was giving their takeaways.
Yeah.
We didn't get to Jody, and then after Jody, we wanted to kind of talk about what are we doing now, because usually when you see people gather to make a protest, after the protest you never see them again.
Mm-hmm.
All right, but we've been here. We've had the Black Lives Matter wars virtual. We have had the candidates forum where we invited candidates to come out, but we really wanted to find out regarding Jody. You're an artist, all right, among a lot of other things. So I know that you see things a bit different. What were some of your takeaways from 5/30/2020?
Again, it and I hate to say it as validation, but it was validation.
Okay.
And to what we've been talking about and screaming about, and then other big organizations come across and appropriate what we've been doing, like they've actually put in work. It got to show, again, the people who are here without notice, without us having to go on social media and type angry words because we can't actually deal with the situations in real life, that it was real. And because I don't want to be too long, so I'm going to take a verse out of a piece that I wrote this year called Broken Clock, which kind of sums up a lot of what I'm seeing. Because even now, I cut TV out 20 plus years ago, and now I'm condensing my social media to maybe half an hour. You may see me, but that's because I've been doing this for 15 so odd years, so I know what buttons to hit to make sure stuff continues to go on my page. So I'm going to give this short excerpt from Broken Clock, and hopefully that you hear it. You'll be hearing it again at a couple of Juneteenth things and on the 4th next week. But you trust no one, but you trust them. The very same governments, organizations, political parties, nonprofits, and subsidies that keep your blocks broken until it's time for re-election or a new survey to come through to find out what plots have been given up on. We tear down everyone, yes, everyone that tries to build for themselves by discounting them to death and asking for a handout from people who barely have all the gear they need to reach the top. And that's where we're at right now. Even 2 years later, we're still looking for PPPs, looking for this senator or this person to help us. When you live in your community and they only come around when it's time to get reelected or it's time to start a new program up. Now, the big thing is mental health and how you need to be fixed because we've damaged you for so many years and told you were worthless. Now, let's get some money to help you. So, even with us, I hope whoever's watching or whoever may be share, you start really paying attention to what's happening, because it's now that the world's open and everybody's outside, everybody now has to find another agenda to play the card of victim.
That's right.
Including our politics and everybody that say there to help you. So that's what it was.
All right. So I know Julian has started talking about Juneteenth. So we talked about May 30th. We talked about coming up to May 30th, not only George Floyd, but Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor. It was a perfect storm. It was a perfect storm of things. Yes, thank you, brother. That created that moment. we made it through, and I thank everybody that marched. I thank everyone that challenged property, who thought that lives were not more valuable than property. Somebody's got to do it. All right, somebody's got to do it. So here we are. Within the next few weeks, we're having Juneteenth, and I heard you talk about the Qs.
Yeah.
Who are and why do you think it's important that our fraternities get involved, Julian?
Yeah. So the fraternities are derived out of a ideal of the talented 10th of W.B. Du Bois, right? Of that we must save ourselves, right? That we're not going to look for white folks to save us, that we are going to save ourselves. And far too often, and I say this as a member of myself, right? Like we haven't been directly involved in some of the work that's needed, right? Some of the radical work that's needed to save our people, right? Some of the corporate structure sometimes, just like what we see with our political parties, sometimes causes those in leadership to capitulate the most poignant ideals, right, that are needed to help our people.
Okay.
And so right now we're at a point where that is not acceptable. And we have a fraternity that's not just talking the talk, but walking the walk.
That's right.
With the Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated Xi Tau chapter. And it's a beautiful thing to see, right, the fraternity that is responsible for Black History Month, the one that Carter G. Woodson lobbied for Black History, for Negro Achievement Week to become Black History Month, to continue to make Black history here local, because that's what's going to happen on Juneteenth.
All right.
Right. It is going to be in a historic moment here in Toledo of self-determination and us owning and taking back the narrative of us creating health for ourselves and reconnecting family in the way that we know that we can do it. Right. We're taking these structures that have destroyed us, that have caused harm for us, and we're taking what their powers,
okay,
and using them to help heal our community and to help heal us individually. And that to me is the most transformative act that we can do today.
All right, I just saw the battery is low sign.
Yep.
All right, man. When is it happening, Ruth?
So Juneteenth with CSRN and all of the other amazing co-sponsors will take place on June 18th. That's the Saturday. June 19th is Juneteenth as well as Father's Day. So we wanted to make sure that we celebrated or we observed Juneteenth the day before at Mott Branch Library. That's 1010 Door Street. And we are actually expanding it so that it includes not only Mott Branch Library, which is where you will be able to screen the films or the miniseries Black Men Unfiltered. 2 episodes will be out that day, as well as the documentary or the film Sons of Toledo. At the park, at Smith Park, we are actually bringing back the spirit of Smith Fest. So we will have some bikes to give away for the kids, for the parents. You will be able...
Bikes?
Yes.
Oh, man.
Bicicletas. For the kids, there will also be bouncy houses. For the adults, we are giving away air fryers, as well as in the parking lot right next to Smith Park, we are doing health screenings. So men, you can do prostate exams. They actually can do it now less invasively, so you don't have to worry about all of that.
Now they
can do it. As well as blood glucose and blood pressure screenings. We will have some individuals speaking. R. Carter Thomas actually will be coming to speak about the importance of mental health in the Black community. And we also have Montrese hosting. So,
hear me?
Yes. We are going to have a great day from 12 to 4 on June 18th at Mott Branch Library.
Great.
You will know us by our balloons, by the stage, by Montrese's voice, by the bouncy houses, and we also have a few vendors coming by as well.
So I was wondering, support the community and investing in putting our dollars back into our community, not some store online.
Yes. And also, if you are interested in investing in the event altogether, if you would like to support us with more bikes, support us with more air fryers, support us with more resources to give out to the community, you can donate to CSRN. Our Cash App is
hashtag CSRN 419, and our PayPal is CSRN 419.
yes.
All right. Hey, listen, Jody, we've got like 5% left.
Okay, so closing thoughts for me is for everybody out there in the world and stuff like that. Yes, today is Memorial Day, the day that we celebrate the men, women, and children who go off to countries to fight for political leaders or kings or monarchies and stuff like that. It is also, if you research even back, something that we started as African Americans is Memorial Day, which I saw some clip that a veteran got his speech edited for, but research it, look it up, go and actually see where the source came from. Please stop sharing these memes and TikToks that have no history and no weight behind them, just confusing you even more. Look up the history of Memorial Day.
Commemorate the black soldiers that fought in the Civil War against racist white folks that wanted to keep us enslaved.
Yes.
Yep.
Also, look
We
it up.
salute you.
Don't just listen to us.
And also, we salute the freedom fighters of our people. We salute Frederick Douglass. We salute Denmark Vesey.
Ashe.
We salute Rosa Parks.
Ashe.
We salute Madam C.J. Walker.
Ashe.
We salute
Floyd Rose.
Harriet Tubman.
Right. We salute Harriet Tubman.
Ashe.
You know, we salute Sojourner Truth. We
Ashe.
salute Dr. King.
Marcus
Ashe.
Garvey.
Right. We salute the mighty, the Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey. All of these heroes and sheroes that have fought for us, and all of those soldiers, those black men and women who are the descendants of slaves that have fought for America and believed in the fight that they fought. We salute you. All right. You did not die in vain. You are a martyr for what you gave. They say all gave some, but some gave all. So we salute our brothers and sisters.
And lastly, I want to salute some of the people that showed up that day on May 30th that are still here today. You know what I mean? I thank y'all, Alex, Saray. I thank y'all. I thank y'all. I thank y'all. I thank y'all. Right? We the people united can never be defeated. Remember that. All power to the people. All power to the people.
All power to the people.
All power to the people.
All power to the people.
Remember, all lives can't matter unless black lives matter. And black lives won't matter until all black lives matter. Justice or else.